digital library, development, creation, history, many modules we have seen. In this module, we will discuss about digital library standards. That will cover standards and protocol and their need and importance in digital libraries, interoperability and data exchange in digital libraries, and role of standards and protocol, important standards and protocol applicable for digital libraries. Why do we need standard, or what is protocol? The standard is a general rule to be followed by all professional for the data exchange in library. Protocol is the technical compatibility or rules for communicating each other. If I am giving a document in a format which is not known to you, there is no use of it then. So we have to maintain a common understanding. That is what is protocol. So this module will cover these two, standards and protocol. We have already seen building a digital library requires number of infrastructural and software and hardware components. There are no turnkey kind of project or monolithic system available for digital library. You go to a store and purchase best digital library infrastructure, not possible. It's a combination built as well as depending on many of the technologies and infrastructure which is already there. This gives a challenge when digital libraries are created. There could be different systems interacting each other. So digital libraries are collections of disparate systems and resources connected through a network and made interoperable. Individually it is built by different people, but altogether designed for interacting each other. For example, when I tell a story, I want to communicate with one person in China, and I talk Hindi or English, and the Chinese man talk only Chinese. What happened? What I talk in Hindi cannot be understood by the Chinese man. So there should be a common understanding. I will talk only the language which is known to him or understandable by him. So this technology also this applies. That is what to have seamless integration of various components. And for its effective functioning, we need some standards. And standards and protocol have a major role to play in building digital library. Uniform standards and protocols are prerequisite for data transfer, exchange, interoperability among digital libraries. This library, generally we transfer library content. Let us take the simple thing of catalog. Catalog code can be in different format. It can follow something called a common CCF. It can be built in Dublin code. It also can be made in Mark 21 or Mark 21 XL. So if we put a standard, now onwards whatever you are preparing, it should be in Mark 21. Then Mark 21 becomes the standards. For data exchange, this is required for exchanging data between two systems. So protocol is a series prescribed steps to be taken. Protocol is a set of rules to be taken, usually in order to allow for the coordinated action of multiple parties. In the world of computers, protocols are used to allow different computers. Protocol is a very, very common term in computer like terminology, because in software it is used, in hardware it is used to work between different computers. Computer protocols are frequently formalized by national and international standard organization. There is an organization which is known as ISO, that is International Standard Organization. Then communication, there is something called ITU. So all these are the standards. So if you are following ISO standard, that means all products are meeting the same specification and functional requirement. Protocol is accepted by most of the parties that implement it can be considered as a standard. Protocol is a set of rules. If I adopt it, it becomes standard. So protocols and standards are generally used together to give the concept of it. And every protocol is not a standard, and every standard is not a protocol. Correct, no? Because every protocol means rules you generate, but people may not follow it. But people are using some standard, but not based on rules. So that is why this last statement. Now let us see the definition and importance. Standards support cooperative relationship amongst multiple vendors and implements that. Standards make it possible to share and collaborate in development of products, processes across institutional and political boundaries. Standards are supported by a range of national and international organizations, including professional associations. Let us see some of them which are known to you, like electrical and engineering, electronics engineers. The standard is IEEE, IEEE, Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. Then we have ANSI standard, American National Standards Institute. Then we have BSI, British Standards Institution. Then India we have a standard. We have seen about gold when you are purchasing BIS hallmark. That is a standard. That is Bureau of Indian Standard, BIS. BIS standard is almost available for many products. Then International Organization for Standardization, even though it is looking as IOS, but the more accepted acronym is ISO standard. Then we have NISO standard, that is from US National Information Standards Organization. So information, as far as it is concerned, NISO is one of the very popular standard, and these are the standards supported by national and international agencies. Now, is there any standard for digital library? Yes, there are. There are organizations responsible for digital library creation. One example is DLF, Digital Library Federation. It's a consortium of libraries and related agencies. As one of its objectives, identifies standards of digital collections and network access. You can go to the website called ditchlib.org. The DLF operates under administrative umbrella of Council of Library and Information Resources. It's based in Washington, D.C. And another one is Library of Congress. They play an important role in maintaining several key standards. I just mentioned MARC for bibliographic records. It is maintained by Library of Congress, MARC, and the development of MARC with XML environment. Those who have heard about MARC earlier, which is a bibliographic standard, MARC stands for Machine Readable Catalogs. It's a bibliographic standard adopted and accepted by almost all automation software in libraries. So this MARC is also from Library of Congress. So you can go to Library of Congress website, that is www.loc.gov, which plans an important role on MARC, which within an XML environment for exchange of information. The International Federation of Library Association, IFLA, is again a site or a institution under its IFLANet Digital Libraries, which gives resources about variety of relevant standards. So this site called www.ifla.org/2 romanmet2/metadata.html. This site gives a lot of links to the relevant standards for digital library. Now communication protocol. Friends, when I am using some of the technical terms here, don't get scared of it, but you are using it every day whenever you are touching computer or internet. So you can try to understand the different communication protocols. Communication protocols are predefined set of prompts and responses which two computers follow while communicating with each other. Digital libraries are designed around internet and web technologies, which we already discussed. Digital libraries take the concept or use the infrastructure of internet and web technologies. So communication protocols are important in network as well as in communication. So let me list out few protocols which are very commonly used in internet. The first, internet is made using protocol called TCP/IP. TCP/IP stands for Transmission Control Protocol / Internet Protocol. That's why we call TCP/IP, together TCP/IP. This is the basic protocol in transferring data over internet. In 1984, Windsurf invented this protocol. You must be recollecting that internet was born in 1969, but this internet has to wait for better use of it till 1984. This protocol is invented, TCP/IP. TCP/IP has given such a boost to the internet for communication. So this is the basic protocol for communication, not for digital library. Any data communicate over internet which has to use TCP/IP. Now there are other protocols also. TCP/IP is not a single protocol. It's a glue or set of many protocols on that. The main protocol is TCP/IP. That's why it is called like we call a city name. When you are telling Delhi, many of the neighboring cities are also included in that place. Like that, TCP/IP is named because it is the biggest protocol in that. But it also contains IGMP, RARP, lot of other protocols. Glue. That's why we tell it's a glue of 100 plus protocols. Then for document sharing between each other, we use something called hypertext transfer protocol. Many people must be seeing when any URL is used, you are writing http:// then the name of the website. So what is that HTTP? In internet there could be many services. So just one service is that World Wide Web service, www. You give it, you get it in browser. Actually the protocol used behind this one website is HTTP. That's why the address starts with HTTP. You can also have FTP, file transfer protocol. Then you have to write that FTP://. But HTTP is the default protocol in browser. I'm sure that you know what is browser. Browser is that one is Mozilla, other is Chrome, then Internet Explorer, then Netscape, Navigate. A lot of that browsers are there. Firefox. Now all these browsers, we can type a site name. If we are not giving anything, then it assumes that HTTP is the basic protocol. That's why it's called default protocol. And the other one is called FTP, file transfer protocol. This is for establishing communication between a client and a server in a digital library. If you want to share a big file from one location to other, you need to connect each other and create a channel and start transferring. That is what is called file transfer protocol. HTTP comes as different packets and all assembled and give you in web page. FTP, it all comes from one file to other file. So big file can be transferred easily by using FTP protocol. Now look a little more detail about transmission control protocol and internet protocol. Internet is a packet switched network. When I'm telling packet switched, what does it mean? Packet means any information you are sending across network goes as simple, small packet. For example, I want to send my picture from one end to other end in a network, internet. The picture doesn't go as it is. What it will do, it will create the complete picture into different blocks of data. That is what is closed packet. So that's why we call it as packet switched network. Means packet switching from one point to other point. So immediately it goes from computer to nearest device, from that device to the nearest router or hub or switch to the router to the line, and this is how it is transferring. And these packets are sent individually using several different routes. So TCP/IP becomes the communication channel for transferring by using packets of data. Internet protocol is responsible for assuring that packets are sent to the right destination. So there are two components in this. One is TCP, other one is IP. So TCP/IP take care of the creation of packet and sending across. IP takes care of assuring that all the splitted packets is reach the right destination. All packets may not travel in one route, or packet may not travel sequentially also. Chances are that packet can travel first, last packet can reach first also, but there it get assembled. That is taken care by IP. So let's not go into the very detail of it. It's part of computer science. It is developed somewhere in 1970, but adopted in 1983. I told that, Vincent. And protocol standard for ARPANET. And this is the predecessor to the internet. And somewhere I have seen also that year is like 1983 it is developed. Let us say that TCP/IP becomes basic protocol on this. Now, let us watch this figure. Let me explain it now with a small diagram which is there in the screen. In this diagram, application server, storage, Ethernet search, NAS, everything is available. If you look at this application server and storage is in two different locations which is connected to various devices to this. So TCP/IP is the protocol that controls creation of transmission path between computers on a single network and different network. TCP/IP defines how electronic devices like computers should be connected to internet. So diagram shows that, and how data should be transmitted. And this is used as a universal protocol for public networks and many in-house local area networks. Now hypertext I have already told what exactly. Hypertext is linked with browsers. The protocol is used for carrying requests from client. I want this page, and from the pages are returned from the server to this, and HTTP take care of that. And the most important protocol that run on TCP/IP used in www, that is World Wide Web, is HTTP. That's why we are typing HTTP. Any URL, any web address mentioning, it will be having HTTP. Now let me take you to this diagram on the screen. This HTTP was invented by Tim Berners-Lee. He is also now introducing Web 2.0, co-author of 1.0 specification of HTTP in '89. He proposed it, and that's why he is also treated as the father of World Wide Web. Somewhere you will see that he's Tim Berners-Lee. He's given the Sir title also, which is one of the academic title or scientific title given to an inventor. See the picture. If I am using my computer, I sit before my keyboard and I started typing. I open something called browser. So here there is a browser, and my web page which I am looking must be there in server. Server may be anywhere outside. So the HTTP work with the concept of web browser. Web becomes a client. It can accept from data from a web server, and it can come through service. So client, that is a user like me, give a request to the server, HTTP request message, and HTTP response message come from there. It display on browser as the pages. This is simple. Bigger file, as I mentioned, uses FTP. This is for transferring file on local area network or wide area network. In local area network, FTP may not be required for transfer, but wide area network, FTP is a big solution, good solution. And protocol is it's available in the same period, and it was implemented between the MIT's machines. And FTP provides reliable and switch exchange of files with different operating system. Whether you use Unix, Linux, CentOS, or Windows, the protocol remains the same as the basic architecture. Let us see a diagram for FTP. Here I have an FTP client, which is my normal machine. You know, your client machine is also called node, or client machine is called desktop. And you have a server where data is stored, huge files. That is what is called FTP server. So the FTP client in my computer control a request to the controlled connection request to FTP server through a command. It could be any command, CW, a lot of FTP commands are there. Then it gets connected and data connection is established. Once the connection is established, file transfer. There are many internet sites that have established publicly accessible repositories of material that can be obtained using FTP. And if you have an FTP server, if your data is not confidential, they will put it on common access. But FTP need to use a username and password. Many times, default password is anonymous. So you will see that anonymous FTP server. Server is meant for public, but used as account name as anonymous. So you can type anonymous and see the same password, or maybe password may not be there, but login. Then you can transfer it. This is all about FTP. Now, after HTTP, TCP, HTTP, FTP, let us see now some of the standards in library, digital library standards. Catalog is the main tool for library to help a user. Now, when it is converted into online catalog, we need to follow a standard, bibliographic standard. That standards are called bibliography. It is nothing but with a description of the content as well as physical attribute of document and non-document in library. They are generally very complex, cover most difficult intellectual part of object definition, bibliographic. These definitions are necessary for processing material, also for searching it. Most digital library software support doubling or metadata sets for bibliography survey. So to standard, doubling or is very simple 15 field standard. We have used it for our biggest project called Shodh Ganga, but we modified the doubling core. So we are using modified doubling core metadata standard for Shodh Ganga. But there are other bibliographic standards. The most common one, acceptable one, internationally acclaimed one, India decided to follow this bibliographic standard. That is called MARC, Machine Readable Catalog. The important thing about MARC is that any kind of documents can be cataloged by using this. What are the documents available in library? Books, journal, conference proceedings, and CD-ROM. And machine readable essentially means that not only human being, machine can read this catalog. That means machine means programs, and it can interpret the data and this cataloging data, and it can convert to respective format, XML or whatever. So this was developed in 1960s in library by Library of Congress, and this is used. This standard is generally invented for computer to share information between libraries. MARC contains bibliographic elements for content and physical and process. There are several versions of MARC in use around the world. The most dominant being Mooc 21. Mooc 21 is a bibliographic standard used in library automation. This was created in 1999, a result of the harmonization of US and Canadian Mooc format, Unimooc, and widely used in Europe. So Unimooc was used in Europe, Canadian Mooc was used in US, and they tried to take the best out of both and created Mooc 21. The family of standards now include formats for authority records, holding record, classification schedule, communication, in addition to the format of bibliography. So Mooc is not only just a standard for some metadata, but also it uses a lot of additional information like authority record. Authority record is that a common record, like New Delhi. If I am taking as a place name, people enter New Delhi in different forms. Somebody will write new capital, all small letter, Delhi. Somebody will write new Delhi. Somebody will write all small letter. Somebody will write the new and N and D capital. So there is no standard for writing a simple place name. Authority means whenever New Delhi somebody want to sell, there is an authority file where you can select it. That is what, and Mooc takes care of it, Mooc 21. And doubling core standards, as I mentioned, this was conceived from author-generated description of web resources at OCLC and NCSA metadata workshop held in Dublin. So the place Dublin name in Ohio is given to the standard Dublin Core 1994 because it was discussed, part of a discussion, it emerged in a workshop. Then metadata element that may be assigned to web pages to facilitate. DC has attracted attention of the resource description communication such as museum, libraries, government agencies, commercial organization. And what is important about doubling core is, and simplicity of doubling core is, it uses set of 15 core elements. Which are the elements? It is, as a library science professional, you should know all the 15 elements. I recommend, I suggest. Now, any content in the library, whether it is digital or physical, it will have a title. So title is the most important. Creator, subject and keywords, description, publisher, whether university or college or who is the publisher, contributor, date, resource type, format, resource identifier, source, language, relation, coverage, and rights management. These are the core 15 elements used in doubling core bibliography standards. And Bib1 is also there. It's a simplified record from subset of Mooc, you can say. Very simplified record from Mooc. It is the original format for transmission of record within Z39.50, dialogue between two systems for retrieval of data. It has elements are mappable to both Mooc and doubling core. So Bib1 is a small encapsulated version. And another one is called Text Encoding Initiative. It's an initiative, provides schemes of encoded tests. Tests are not sent in normal form. Other feature on the text, both grammatical and linguistic, also content indicating such as the actors in a play can be identified, allowing for a rich analysis. And these rules require that actual text be marked up with the SGML encoding. So Mooc, doubling core, Bib1, and TEI is as the standards. Now, another archival standard is that electronic archival description, EAD. The encoding scheme devised with SGML. It's a markup language framework to define the content description of documents and other archival objects. It is defined as a minimum number of descriptive elements, but in an extensible fashion. Minimum number, but you can extend it. It is designed to create descriptive record which will assist in searching for original material in number of ways. So that is what is called EAD. And the other standard is Metadata Encoding and Transmission Standard, that is called METS. METS has the task of encoding descriptive or administrative and structural metadata for object in a digital library. This facilitates the management of such a document within a repository and then exchange between the repository. If you are storing a document in a repository, many people will try to take it from there. That is what is called harvesting the metadata. If you want to harvest metadata, it has to be in a standard. Now, two repositories can communicate each other by using this MET standard, METS. This is maintained by Network Development and Mass Standard Office of the Library of Congress and is an initiative of Digital Library Federation. So MET is becoming a very, very common, popular, accepted standard because it is from Library of Congress as well as DLF. Now, METS format has 7 major sections. I told it get expanded wherever. One is a METS header, the other is the descriptive metadata, then it also tell about administrative metadata, then file section, structural map, structural links, and the behavior section. These are the 7 major sections which a METS format have. And metadata object description schema, MODES, was developed as a descriptive metadata scheme oriented towards digital object and drawing from the machine readable catalog format, MARC format. And this is usable and defined, it provides descriptive metadata for digital object by regrouping the MARC field. I asked one of my friends how many fields are there in MARC, and the answer he has given is 1200 plus MARC fields. So everything cannot be 1200 field if you describe for any material. Then if it is defined for any material, then it becomes a kind of book, big book. So you have to group it in certain. So regrouping a MARC of this record to new one is generally, and translating the numeric code to readable English in XML. MODE was adopted by Digital Library Federation again for their Equifair project. So this whenever there is a demand come, that will be developed by Digital Library Federation as part of this. DLF intends to use mods to replace the Dublin code for descriptive metadata. So in future you may see mods in place of Dublin code. And the record structure for any of this, it's a physical and logical structure of record which hold the data. Like a book is there, we need a record structure like author, first a title, then author, and which one appear where. This is what is the standard or logical structure. Typical bibliographic records may contain multiple fields of value length. It may occur more than once repeated. Therefore, the formats facilitate exchange of data between the system. For example, most digital library software support ISO 2709 for structure and individual record. And this combination of 2709 and Z39.2 defines very flexible structure for individual records. And these two standards were developed together, but 2709 can be the structure of almost any type of records. The main structure of 2790 is ability to handle variable structure length field where the occurrence of the field is also variable. And now we have some of the encoding standards. We have seen the bibliography standards now. Quickly let us see encoding standard. The common standard is ASCII, and then you have Unicode. Unicode means every character in the world is simply having a Unicode. It is a universal encoding scheme using 16 bits to represent each character. 8, 16, 32, these are the sequence generally go. So it uses 16 bits for a simple character. That means by using 16 bit, all character in the world, whether Japanese, Chinese, or regional languages in India, everything can be represented. So Unicode has an advantage of giving a character encoding scheme. Unicode is controlled by Unicode Consortium and equivalent to the ISO 10646 standard. In computer, every character is like ASCII, American Standard Code for Information Exchange, which defines all the characters necessary for English and many special characters. So ASCII is generally used for English, not for all languages. So ASCII and English plus printable character, non-printable character, etc. The code also used the basis for most of the 8-bit characters. And 128 are left alone character. Have you seen how many characters are in the key? How many key presses are there in the keyboard? We have 108 keyboard, 110 keyboard, 112, some special character for internet operation. So basically keyboard cannot have all characters. So we have shift key, alt key to generate more characters. So like that you can create at least 128 characters as long as that. And Microsoft and IBM has produced number of national variant for this ASCII. Now encoding standard is over. Information retrieval standard. When I try to retrieve from server data, is there any standard? Yes, there is a standard which is called Z. Z is pronounced as Z when I go to international body, so I am using Z. Z39.5 standard and ISO 23950 standard. Z39.50 is an ANSI NISO standard for information storage and retrieval. So for storing, you have to use this standard, then only others can retrieve by using standard. Z39.50 information retrieval standard. This protocol is used for searching and retrieving bibliographic records, not for the content, across more than one library system. So bibliographic record can be exchanged by using Z39 protocol. This need a client program on the end, and the server also should have a server program. So we have Z39.50 at server and client, both will interact for exchange of bibliographic records. This is widely used standards. So PMH is the metadata harvesting protocol. Combination of both this define the protocol for information retrieval. Supports streaming of metadata from one repository to another. We in InfluMnet Center uses Shodhganga for a national repository of thesis. If it is OAI PMH, any harvester can harvest the metadata. So we tell that this is our OAI PMH URL. When they get that that kind of URL, they can harvest the metadata. Means the metadata of all theses can be downloaded by people if it is supported. So this is several service provider can harvest metadata from various digital library. So I can sit as a harvester and go to all repository. If it is OAI, everything can be harvested and keep on my server for my users. So library can use this standard for harvesting the metadata. Let me show you how OAI PMH work with a diagram. There is a client requesting for the document and someone has to provide it. Or client means harvester. Now in top you have so many repositories lined up. Data provider repository 1, 2, 3. Now a service provider harvester, he will have a metadata database. So when he requests, it can be transferred all into the harvester, and this harvester can be used for metadata searching. And if a document is available, when you click the link, it will take to the respective repository. So original content is not stored in the client server, rather than it only have the metadata from various repositories. The other standard use is OpenURL. OpenURL is a versatile linking standard. URL, Universal Resource Locator. It's a address, http://www/influMnet.az.in. This full URL. But OpenURL is that It links use metadata for generating dynamic link and passing metadata about the resource to a resolver program. And two components. One is that URL of the open URL resolver followed by a description of the information object consisting of set of metadata elements. So it will have a URL and what are the metadata it is having. These two are joined together, that is what is URL. And this is developed by Herbert van de Sombel, librarian at the University of Ghent. And NISO, National Information Standard Organization, has developed open URL and its data container, that is context object, as International AIC standard Z39.88. That is open URL standard. Then how open URL works? Let us see the picture once again. User click on an open URL and the open URL link available to the user by the provider makes source open URL. It source sent a metadata and the context information. Local resolution server resolve it, offer the user a menu of option, and the menu is showing here, opaque or what published article, whatever it is, and that can be resolved. This is how it is working. Now at the end, let us quickly look at the format and media types available in digital library. It defines arrangement of discrete set of data that allows computers different live format used. Generally, what are the formats available in digital library? You have to text content, you have image content, you have graphics content, picture, musical works, computer program, databases, models and designs, video program, audio, and also computers compound works, any of this information. Every object in a digital library needs to have a name or identifier, which then only we can distinguish it between this. The file extension of digital library typically denote the format. If you are listening to music, you are having a format called MP3 most probably. That is the very common standard in audio. When you are watching a movie in computer, most probably that will be, or when you record it as a video file, it may be MP4 or it may be .mov. And there are so many formats available, but some common formats I told you. Every equipment will be using that tone. And the last extension will define which is the format. An information context of digital library may include combination of structured and unstructured data, numerical data, and its size. So symbol text is, ASCII text is one format, and this is available in that document, you can read it. And structured text format is there, which is called markup language. So markup language is HTML. For creation of web pages, we use a markup language called HTML. Then standard general markup language is one of the most important and popular structured text format, SGML. And this HTML is actually defined from SGML. SGML is the international standard by ISO, which led to HTML, hypertext markup, which is the basic of your web page. So browser and HTML make the complete web page available. Now, HTML extensible, after the HTML and HTML, the new open standard is extensible markup language, which is called XML. This is from SGML to interchange structured document. The difference is that unlike SGML, it is also deal with the structure of document formatting. And it is a simple text, highly flexible to transfer data between. Besides HTML and HTML, there are other formats used in digital library. And not very common, but know few names, that is TEX, used for formatting highly mathematical text. Formula is there. Format which greater control over resulting of document. Then one format is page description language, PDL. And Adobe uses this PostScript and PDF. This is similar to that, to image, but the formatted page display to the user are text-based rather than image-based. Adobe, etc., if you look at it, is generally looking as the image-based format. And PostScript and PDF format can easily be captured during typesetting. Documents stored as PDF acquire Acrobat Reader at the user end to read. You are bound to use Acrobat Reader to read PDF. And this PDF, part of the PDL, portable document, is a byproduct of PostScript. And our Adobe page description language that has become standard way to describe pages electronically in the graphic world. So even in Shodhganga, we accepted PDF as the open standard to read, and Adobe software is free to read. Only editing you need to buy it, otherwise it's okay, it's free. While PostScript is program language, PDF is a page description language. This is the difference. The page image format, quickly I will tell some of the names which is known to you, like you might have been using photograph etc., which is generally JPEG format or PNG format. Now there is another format called TIFF, which is most commonly used page image file format. TIFF stands for tagged image file format and is considered to be de facto standard for bitonal images. Images can be colored, grayscale and white colored. They can be compressed, skewed, cropped, using several algorithms are there. Image files are much larger than text file, so it needs a different format. Compression is necessary because every image, quality images has huge file size. Text files are generally very small in size. Some of the format mentioned above are developed by ISO and ITU. And finally, we are coming to the preservation standards. One preservation standard is premise, preservation metadata, and implementation strategies. The premise, it was released in 2005, not very old. This is for preservation. Any digital document is preserved, you have to standard. Premise data dictionary is a comprehensive practical source of implementation. Premise is also developed as a set of XML. One standard, Open Archival Information System, OAIS, describe all functional dispositories. I am just telling all these forms or standards just for your further reading. OAIS reference model was developed by Consultative Committee for Space and Data Systems. OAIS reference model provides high-level overview of types of information, preservation description format, PDI, and the presentation. With that, I conclude the standards protocol. It is little longer because a lot of technological terms were discussed. So I once again recall your attention to the protocol discussed like TCP/IP, HTTP, FTP, bibliographic standards like Mooc, Dublin Corp, BibI, TI, EAD, METS, MODS, record structure like ISO, encoding standards like Unicode, ASCII, then information retrieval standards like Z39.50 and 80, SRW, OIPMH, OpenURL, and format and media used for structured format, SGML, XML,